She thought no one was watching as she quietly helped a stranger in need, ignored by everyone around. But when the millionaire suddenly stopped and recognized what she was really doing, his face froze. Witnesses held their breath, and the entire place fell into stunned silence. Subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and comment where in the world you're watching from, because now I'm going to tell you everything. The warm, lemon-scented air of the Miller family's kitchen wrapped around Chloe Davis like a soft blanket. She wiped the last spot from the granite countertop, her movements quick and sure. "All finished, Mrs. Miller," Chloe said, putting the cleaning spray back in her caddy. Mrs. Miller looked up from her tablet. "The house looks perfect, Chloe. As always, I left your cash on the front hall table, and a little extra today. It's so cold out." "Thank you," Chloe said, the words quiet and grateful. She gathered her things, her fingers brushing over the folded bills in her pocket. She did not count it here. That was a ritual for later. The walk to the Brew Bean coffee shop was 5 blocks. The Chicago wind cut through her coat, a sharp reminder of the date, January. Her thoughts moved to numbers. She had saved $1,240. Her goal was $2,000. A better apartment, one with windows that closed all the way and a lock that worked, required a deposit of first month's rent and last month's rent. The numbers marched in her head, a constant, familiar parade. Inside the coffee shop, the air smelled of roasted beans and warm milk. Chloe went to the counter. "The usual, Chloe?" asked the barista, a young woman with a blue streak in her hair. "Yes, please. Just the small black coffee." Every dollar had a purpose. She took her coffee to her usual small table by the window. She sat down and finally pulled the money from her pocket, Mrs. Miller's payment and the tip. She smoothed the bills on the table. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. $5 extra. A good day. From her bag, she took out a small notebook with a faded cover. She wrote the date at the top of a new page. Then she wrote the amount from today. She added it to the total at the bottom of the previous page. $1,245. She looked at the number for a long moment. Then she put all the money, except for a single dollar, into a special zippered pouch in her bag. The last dollar was for her coffee. She sipped her coffee, watching people hurry past the window, their collars pulled up high. Her own apartment was not far from here, but it felt like a different city. It was a small studio with a loud radiator and a view of another brick wall, but it was hers, for now. Her phone buzzed. It was her mother. "Hi, Mom." "Hi, honey. Just finished my first shift, heading to the second. Did you get home okay from work?" "I'm still at the coffee shop," Chloe said. "Just finishing up." "Counting your fortune?" her mother asked, her voice tired but warm. "Yes," Chloe smiled. "A little more added today." "Don't work too hard, sweetheart, and eat something that isn't just coffee." "I will. I promise. You should eat too." They talked for a few more minutes, a simple back and forth about their days. It was always the same, and Chloe found comfort in the pattern. After the call, she packed her notebook away. She looked at the people outside again, her eyes counting the ones wearing hats, the ones who were not. A routine end to a routine day. She pulled her coat tight, ready for the cold walk home, her bag held close with the weight of her savings inside. Tomorrow, she would do it all again. The cold hit Chloe's face the moment she left the Brew Bean. It was a sharp, shocking cold that made her eyes water. She pulled her thin coat collar up and started the walk home. Tomorrow was Tuesday. She thought about her schedule. The Millers on Tuesday morning, then the coffee shop in the afternoon. It was the same every week. She counted her steps to distract herself from the wind. 100, 200. The next afternoon, the cold was even worse. It was a deep, aching cold that seeped through the windows of the coffee shop. Chloe sat at her usual table, her notebook open. The tips from the morning had been good. $2 from Mr. Miller and $5 Mrs. Miller had left on the counter. She added $7 to her total, $1,252. She was writing the number down when movement outside caught her eye. An old man was sitting on the bench by the bus stop. He wore a thin brown jacket. He had no hat. His hands were bare, clenched together in his lap. He shivered, his whole body shaking. Chloe stopped writing. She watched him. A bus came and went. He did not get on it. He just sat there, shivering. She looked down at her small pile of cash on the table, the $7 from today. Her coffee cost $1. That left $6. She touched the edges of the bills. Her mother's voice was in her head. Asterisk, you have to take care of yourself first. She looked at the man again. His shoulders were hunched against the wind. Without letting herself think anymore, Chloe picked up her money. She took the single dollar for her coffee. Then she counted out $5 more, $10 more, $15 total. It was a lot. It was more than a lot. She stood up, putting the rest of her money into her bag. She did not zip it. She walked to the door of the coffee shop and pushed it open. The outside air was like a wall of ice. She hurried across the sidewalk to the bench. "Excuse me," Chloe said. The old man looked up. His face was wrinkled and red from the cold. His eyes were a pale, watery blue. "Yes, miss?" Chloe held out the $15. Her hand shook a little. "Please, take this. Go get something hot to eat, please." The man stared at the money in her hand. He did not take it at first. "For me?" "Yes," Chloe said. The wind whipped her words away. "It's too cold. You should go inside somewhere." Slowly, his cold red fingers reached out. He took the money. He held it carefully, as if it might break. "Thank you," he said, his voice rough. "God bless you, young lady. What's your name?" "It's nothing, really." Chloe felt her face grow warm. She wanted to get back inside. "Just get warm, okay?" She gave him a quick small smile and turned away. She walked back to the coffee shop door, her head down. She hoped no one inside had seen her. She felt embarrassed and nervous. $15 was gone. Her notebook total was wrong now. She would have to fix it. She pulled the door open, the warm air rushing over her. She kept her eyes on the floor as she walked back to her table. She sat down and picked up her pen. She crossed out the old total. Her hand hesitated. Then she wrote the new number, $1,237. It was less. It was $15 less. She stared at the number. A tight feeling sat in her chest. It was the right thing to do. She knew it was. But the number was smaller. She closed her notebook and put it in her bag. She zipped the bag carefully. Her coffee was almost gone. She would finish it and leave. She wrapped both hands around the warm cup and looked out the window again. The old man was still on the bench. He was counting the money she had given him. Then he looked toward the coffee shop window. He lifted one hand in a slow wave. Chloe's tight chest loosened, just a little. She lifted her own hand and gave a small wave back. Then he stood up, tucked the money into his pocket, and began to walk down the street, probably toward the diner on the corner. Chloe finished her coffee. She stood, slung her bag over her shoulder, and headed for the door. She did not know that a man in a navy suit, sitting in the corner, had seen everything. She did not see his stern, unblinking eyes follow her every move. The man in the navy suit sat perfectly still in the corner booth of the Brew Bean. His name was Alistair Harrington. He had been watching the young woman at the window table for 20 minutes. He spoke quietly into his phone. "The merger documents will be on my desk by 8 tomorrow morning, Susan." Not a minute later. His assistant's voice came through the phone. "Yes, Mr. Harrington." He ended the call and placed the phone screen down on the table. His eyes returned to the woman. He had noticed her system, the careful counting of cash, the small notebook, the way she saved every single dollar bill. He understood the ritual. It was the behavior of someone for whom money was not abstract. It was counted, physical, and scarce. Then he saw her look out the window. He followed her gaze to the old man on the bench. He saw her face change. He saw her look at her money. He saw the internal debate, clear as day in the hesitation of her hands. He watched her count out the bills. $15. His stern face did not change, but inside a thought formed, sharp and clear. Asterisk. Why? Asterisk. He watched her put on her coat and go outside into the brutal cold. He watched the short interaction, the offering of money, the old man's stunned gratitude, the woman's quick, embarrassed retreat back into the warmth. Alistair Harrington did not move a muscle, but his mind was working very fast. It was an illogical act. She had just meticulously added to her savings, then immediately subtracted from it. For a stranger. There was no gain for her. No one had applauded. No one had seen her do it, except for him. At a nearby table, 2 women were having coffee. One of them nudged the other and nodded toward Mr. Harrington. "See that man in the suit? He's been staring at that poor girl for ages," the first woman whispered. The second woman glanced over. "He looks furious." Do you think he knows her? Maybe she's an employee who's not supposed to be here. Or maybe he doesn't like her talking to homeless people. Rich people can be funny about that. The whisper spread quietly through the shop. People sipped their drinks and looked from the rich man's cold face to the young woman who was now back at her table, looking upset. The comfortable noise of the coffee shop faded into a tense, watchful silence. Chloe felt the change in the air. She looked up from her notebook. People were looking at her, then quickly looking away. Her heart began to beat faster. What was wrong? Did they see her give the money away? Did they think she was foolish? Then she saw the man in the perfect navy suit in the corner. He was looking right at her. His face was like stone. He was not blinking. Chloe's breath caught. She did not know him, but his look was heavy and serious. It felt like a judgment. A flush of heat went up her neck. She looked down at her hands, twisting them together in her lap. She had done something wrong. She must have. A rich, important man was looking at her with cold anger. She wanted to leave. She started to put her notebook in her bag, her fingers clumsy. Then she heard a chair slide back. The sound was loud in the quiet room. Mr. Harrington stood up. He was very tall. He picked up his leather briefcase. Every person in the coffee shop watched him. No one spoke. The only sound was the hiss of the coffee machine. He began to walk, not toward the back exit, but toward the front door, toward Chloe's table. Chloe froze. She could not move. She stared at the tabletop, her vision blurring. The sound of his expensive shoes on the tile floor was slow and precise. Asterisk, click, click, click. He was getting closer. She could see the sharp crease of his trousers in the corner of her eye. He was right beside her table. She held her breath, waiting for him to stop, to say something harsh to her. The footsteps did not stop. They moved past her table. Chloe looked up, shocked. He was walking to the front door. He pushed it open and stepped out into the freezing afternoon, the door swinging shut behind him. The entire coffee shop let out a silent, collective sigh. The noise slowly returned. Chloe's body was still tight with fear. He had not spoken to her, but he had gone outside, right to where Arthur had been sitting. Why? Through the glass, Chloe watched the scene unfold. The wind outside was so strong it shook the small tree by the bench. The old man, Arthur, looked up as the tall man in the suit approached. Arthur's body language changed. He pulled his thin coat tighter, as if expecting to be told to move along. Chloe saw his mouth form the words, "I'm sorry, sir." But then, something happened. The stern face of the rich man changed. It softened. The hard line of his mouth relaxed. He said something to Arthur, and Arthur's fearful posture melted away. The rich man reached into his jacket and took out a thick brown leather wallet. He opened it. He did not take out a single bill. He took out a stack of them. He held the money out to Arthur. Arthur's hands came up, but he did not take it. He shook his head, his lips moving quickly. The rich man said something else. He gestured with the money, insisting. Finally, Arthur reached out with trembling hands and took the cash. He looked down at it, then up at the man. He used the back of his hand to wipe his eyes. He was crying. The rich man put a hand on Arthur's shoulder for a brief moment. He pointed down the street, seeming to give directions. Arthur nodded over and over again, clutching the money to his chest. Then the rich man turned. He looked right at the coffee shop window, right at Chloe. Her heart jumped into her throat. He was coming back inside. She quickly looked down at her empty coffee cup, her mind racing. He had given Arthur money, a lot of money. Why? Was he going to tell her she shouldn't have interfered? The door opened, bringing a blast of cold air. The coffee shop was silent again. The clicking footsteps walked across the floor and stopped right next to her table. Chloe forced herself to look up. Mr. Harrington stood there. His face was not soft now, but it was not angry either. It was serious and focused. "May I sit down?" he asked. His voice was low and calm. Chloe could only nod. She moved her bag from the chair opposite her. He sat down, placing his briefcase beside him. He looked at her directly. "What is your name?" "Chloe," she said, her voice a little shaky. "Chloe Davis." "Chloe," he repeated. "My name is Alistair Harrington. What you did just now, giving that man your money, why did you do that?" The question was so direct it stunned her. She twisted her hands together under the table. "He was cold," she said simply. "I had a little extra." "You counted that money twice before you went outside, mister," Harrington said. It did not look like extra to me. It looked like a sacrifice. Chloe felt her face grow hot. She did not know what to say. Was she in trouble? I have been watching people my whole life, Chloe, he continued. In business, you learn to see the true motive, the angle. I did not see one in what you did. It was a simple act of help. You expected nothing back. I didn't think about it like that, Chloe whispered. I know, he said. A faint, almost invisible smile touched his lips for a second. That is the point. He paused, studying her. What do you do for work? I clean houses for the Miller family. Do you like it? It's honest work, she said defensively. I am sure it is. But is it what you want to do? He asked. Chloe looked at her hands. I want to save for a better apartment. Mr. Harrington nodded slowly. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small, crisp white card. He placed it on the table between them. I own a company, Harrington Holdings. We have an entry-level position open in our central offices. It involves basic clerical work, filing, data entry. It is not glamorous, but the pay is twice what you make now, with full benefits, health insurance, a retirement plan. Chloe stared at the card. She could not process the words. They swirled in her head. Asterisk, twice the pay, health insurance. I don't have experience like that, she said. You have diligence, he said, gesturing to her notebook. You have attention to detail. And as of today, you have a recommendation from me. The world needs more people who act without a calculated motive, Chloe. I would like to give you a chance. Tears welled in Chloe's eyes. This was not anger. This was not a scolding. This was an offer, a life-changing offer. It felt like a dream. You're giving me a job? She asked, needing to hear it again. I am offering you an opportunity, he corrected gently. You will have to earn the job, but I believe you can. Do you want it? Chloe looked from his steady gaze to the business card. She thought of the number in her notebook, $1,237. She thought of a paycheck that could double that in a single month. She took a deep, shaky breath. Yes, she said. Yes, I want it. Thank you. Good, Mr. Harrington said. He stood up. The address is on the card. Report to the front desk at 9 o'clock on Monday morning. Ask for Susan. She will be expecting you. He picked up his briefcase and gave her one final approving nod. Then he turned and walked out of the coffee shop, leaving Chloe alone at the table, staring at the small white card that felt heavier than anything she had ever held. Chloe sat on the floor of her studio apartment. The business card was on the floor in front of her. Her notebook was open. She had just finished counting all her money for the third time. $1,237, she said out loud. She looked at the card. Asterisk Alistair Harrington, Chief Executive Officer, Harrington Holdings. The address was for a building in the Loop, downtown. She knew the building. It was one of the tall, shiny ones. Her phone rang. It was her mother. Chloe, you sound out of breath. I'm okay, Mom. Something happened today. She told her mother everything. The cold Arthur, the $15, the rich man, the job offer. The words tumbled out in a rush. There was a long silence on the other end. Chloe, that's incredible. But are you sure? This isn't some kind of trick? He gave me his card. He told me to be there on Monday morning. A job in an office, her mother said, her voice a mix of awe and worry. You'll need different clothes. That was on Sunday. Chloe spent $60 at a discount store. She bought 2 pairs of black pants and 3 simple blouses. It hurt to spend the money, but she knew her mother was right. She lay in bed on Sunday night, staring at the ceiling, counting the cracks she knew by heart. She did not sleep much. On Monday morning, she stood in front of the Harrington Holdings building. It was made of dark glass and steel. It reached up so high she had to tilt her head back to see the top. People in beautiful coats and sharp shoes streamed in through the rotating doors. They all looked sure of themselves. Chloe looked down at her new discount store pants. She took a deep breath. Just go in, she whispered to herself. She walked through the doors into a vast lobby. The floor was made of shiny stone. A huge metal sculpture hung from the ceiling. A woman in a uniform sat behind a giant semicircular desk. Can I help you? The woman asked, her smile polite but not warm. Yes, hello. I'm here to see Susan. My name is Chloe Davis. I'm starting today. The woman's eyes scanned a list on her computer screen. Ah, yes, Miss Davis. Take the elevator to the 42nd floor. Susan's desk is right outside the elevators. The elevator was silent and fast. Chloe's ears popped. When the doors opened, she stepped into another world. The carpet was a deep blue. The walls were a soft cream color. The light was gentle, not like the buzzing fluorescent lights she was used to. A woman with gray hair and a perfect bun looked up from a desk. You must be Chloe. I'm Susan, Mr. Harrington's executive assistant. Follow me, please. Susan walked quickly. Chloe hurried to keep up. They passed offices with glass walls. People sat at computers talking on phones. No one looked up. Susan stopped at a smaller desk in a room with several other desks. A woman was sitting there. She was younger than Susan, with sharp features and a frown as she typed. Elise, this is Chloe Davis. She's starting in the entry-level clerical pool today. You'll be her supervisor. Elise stopped typing. She looked Chloe up and down. Her eyes lingered on Chloe's cheap blouse. I see, Elise said. Her voice was flat. Susan, did HR send over her file? I wasn't told about a new hire. It was a direct placement from Mr. Harrington, Susan said smoothly. Her file will be with you by this afternoon. She gave Chloe a small, unreadable look and walked away. Elise turned her full attention to Chloe. Her smile was thin. A direct placement. How interesting. Well, Chloe, we have a system here. Everyone works. Everyone earns their keep. She pointed to a towering stack of folders on a filing cabinet. Your first task is to file all of these, alphabetically, by client last name. The filing room is down the hall to the left. Do not mix up the tabs. I won't, Chloe said softly. What was that? I won't mix them up, Chloe said, a little louder. Good. Elise turned back to her computer. You can start now. Chloe walked to the heavy stack. She picked up as many as she could carry. Her arms felt the weight immediately. As she turned to find the filing room, a young man with glasses and a friendly smile almost bumped into her. Whoa, sorry about that. Need a hand? He asked. I'm okay, thank you, Chloe said. I'm Ben. I'm in IT. If your computer explodes, I'm your guy. He grinned. You new? Yes. Today is my first day. I'm Chloe. Welcome, Chloe. It's not so bad once you learn where the good coffee is hidden. He nodded and walked off. Just then, another man walked past. He was young, wearing an expensive-looking suit. He glanced at Chloe struggling with the folders, then at Elise. New project, Elise? He asked, his tone light but his eyes calculating. Something like that, Liam, Elise replied without looking up. Liam's eyes swept over Chloe once more. A faint, cold smile touched his lips. Mr. Harrington's pet project. How charming. He didn't wait for a response and continued down the hall, his footsteps silent on the deep carpet. Chloe stood there, her arms aching, the words *pet project* ringing in her ears. She adjusted her grip on the folders and walked toward the filing room, feeling every eye in the office on her back. Weeks passed. Chloe learned the systems. She filed the endless papers. She entered data into the computer until her eyes felt dry. Elise gave her the most boring tasks, sorting old receipts, making copies of long reports. Chloe did it all without complaint. She was good at quiet, careful work. Her first paycheck had been direct deposited into her bank account. The number was so much larger than anything she had ever seen. She paid her rent and still had more than half left over. She started a new page in her notebook for a proper savings account. One evening, most people had gone home. The office was quiet. Chloe was finishing a stack of data entry when Elise walked over to her desk. You're still here, Elise said. It didn't sound like a question. Yes, I wanted to finish this batch, Chloe said. Good. I need you to take these to Mr. Harrington's office, Elise said. She placed a thin folder on Chloe's desk. He needs to see the signed contracts first thing in the morning. Put them directly on his desk. Do not leave them with Susan. She's gone for the day. His office? Chloe asked. She had never been there. She only saw Mr. Harrington from a distance, walking through the office with Susan. He would sometimes nod at her. She would always nod back, her heart beating fast. It's on the 45th floor. The big double doors at the end of the hall. He's not there. He left for a dinner hours ago. Just go in, leave the folder, and leave. Elise's instructions were quick. She turned and walked back to her own office. Chloe picked up the folder. She took the elevator up 3 floors. The 45th floor was even quieter. The carpet was thicker. There were paintings on the walls. She walked to the end of the hall. The double doors were made of a dark, heavy wood. She knocked softly. There was no answer. She turned the handle and pushed one door open. The office was huge. One entire wall was glass, showing the sparkling lights of Chicago at night. The room was mostly dark, lit only by the glow from the city. A large, neat desk sat in the center. 2 leather chairs faced it. Everything was perfectly in place. Chloe walked quickly to the desk. She placed the folder right in the center. As she turned to go, a small, soft light on the desk caught her eye. It was a brass desk lamp, shaped like an old-fashioned streetlight. It was turned on, casting a warm golden circle on the wood. In that circle of light was a single, old photograph in a simple silver frame. Chloe stopped. She knew she should not look. It was private. But the light drew her eye. The photo was of a woman. She was young, maybe in her 20s. She had dark hair and a kind, open smile. She was sitting on a park bench, squinting a little against the sun. Chloe leaned closer. There was something familiar about the woman's face, the shape of her eyes, the way she smiled. She looked a little like Chloe. Not exactly, but there was a similarity, a feeling. Without thinking, her hand reached out. She picked up the frame. It was cool and heavy. She turned it over. On the back, a piece of old paper was tucked into the frame. Words were written there in faded blue ink. She read them slowly. Asterisk for Alistair, with all my heart. Your Eleanor, 1985. Asterisk. Chloe stared at the words. Asterisk Eleanor. Asterisk. Who was Eleanor? The date was from so long ago. Was she Mr. Harrington's wife? A sister? The woman in the photo looked so happy. A sudden noise from the hallway made her jump. It was probably just a cleaner, but it felt like a warning. Her face flushed with guilt. She had no right to look. She quickly put the frame back exactly as it was, making sure it was centered in the circle of light. She stepped away from the desk. She took one last look at the photo from across the room. The young woman's smile seemed to glow in the lamplight. Chloe felt a strange, hollow feeling in her chest, a mystery she knew she could never ask about. She slipped out of the office, closing the heavy door quietly behind her. The bright lights of the hallway felt harsh after the soft dark of the office. She walked back to the elevator, the name asterisk Eleanor asterisk echoing in her mind with every step. The name asterisk Eleanor asterisk stayed with Chloe for days. She didn't tell anyone about the photo. It was a private thing, a piece of Mr. Harrington's life that felt fragile. She focused on her work. She got better at the computer systems. Ben from IT showed her shortcuts. He was her only real friend in the office. One Wednesday morning, the office felt different. People were talking in low, serious voices. Elise was on the phone, her voice sharp. Chloe was organizing supply catalogs when Ben stopped by her desk. His usual smile was gone. "Hey Chloe, have you heard?" "Heard what?" she asked. "Someone took money from the community fund. A lot of money, like $3,000. Chloe's stomach dropped. The community fund was the company's charity. Mr. Harrington matched all employee donations. The money this month was for a new children's shelter on the south side. She had put $10 of her own money into the envelope last week. "That's terrible," Chloe whispered. "For the kids' shelter?" Ben nodded. "Yeah. Security and HR are all over the finance floor. It's a mess." Later that afternoon, Elise called Chloe into a small office. Liam was already there, standing by the window. He looked very serious. "Close the door, Chloe," Elise said. Chloe did. She stood in front of the desk, her hands clasped tightly. "We're talking to everyone about the stolen funds," Elise began. "The security logs show someone accessed the finance server room after hours on Monday night, around 8:30. Chloe shook her head. "I was home on Monday night. I left at 5. Liam turned from the window. "Are you sure about that, Chloe? I was working late on the Montgomery report. I'm almost certain I saw you near the finance corridor around that time. You looked like you were in a hurry." Chloe felt the room tilt. "No, that's not true. I wasn't here." "Think hard," Liam said, his voice calm but firm. "Maybe you came back for something? A file you forgot?" "I didn't. I went straight home." Panic started to rise in her chest. Elise looked from Liam's confident face to Chloe's pale one. "Liam is a senior executive, Chloe. He has no reason to lie. You, on the other hand, we all know your situation. how much this job means to you, the pressure to keep up appearances. What are you saying? Chloe asked, her voice trembling. I'm saying $3,000 is a lot of money to someone who's never had much, Elise said coldly. And you were seen in the area. That's a fact. It's not a fact. He's wrong. Chloe's voice rose. Do not raise your voice at me, Elise snapped. This is a serious matter. I am suspending you, effective immediately. You will go home. Do not touch your computer. HR and Mr. Harrington will want to speak with you tomorrow morning in the main conference room at 9 o'clock. The words hit Chloe like physical blows. Asterisk suspended, HR, Mr. Harrington. Please, Chloe said, tears filling her eyes. I didn't take anything. I would never steal, especially not from kids. You have to believe me. Elise's face was stone. The meeting is at 9 o'clock. You can tell your story to everyone then. Now please collect your personal things and leave the building. Liam didn't look at her as she walked out of the office. Her hands shook as she took her coat and her small bag from her desk. Ben saw her from across the room, his face filled with confusion and concern. She couldn't even look at him. The elevator ride down felt like it took an hour. People getting on gave her strange looks. She was leaving in the middle of the day, eyes red, carrying her coat. She walked out into the cold afternoon. The wind bit her face, but she barely felt it. Her mind was screaming one thought over and over. Asterisk. This is it. They found a reason. The girl from the coffee shop doesn't belong here, and now they all know. She had until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning before her new world ended for good. The hands on the clock in the lobby seemed to move slower than any clock Chloe had ever seen. When it was finally 8:55, she walked to the elevator. Her stomach felt like a tight knot. She had worn her best blouse, but it felt like a costume now. The conference room on the 44th floor had a long, shiny table. Many people were already there. She saw Elise. She saw Liam, who looked calm and serious. She saw 2 women from Human Resources. She saw a man from Security. They all stopped talking when she walked in. Sit there, Miss Davis, one of the HR women said, pointing to a chair at the end of the table. Chloe sat down. She put her hands in her lap to stop them from shaking. Elise spoke first. Chloe, this is a formal inquiry into the theft of $3,000 from the company's community fund. Liam has stated he saw you near the secure finance area on Monday night at around 8:30. Do you deny this? I deny it, Chloe said. Her voice was small but clear. I was not here. I was at home. Liam leaned forward. I know what I saw. You were wearing that same blue cardigan you have on now. Chloe looked at her sweater. She had worn it on Tuesday, not Monday. But the detail felt damning. Tears burned her eyes. I didn't do it, please. You have to believe me. I know what it's like to have nothing. I would never, ever steal from children who need help. The room was silent. The faces looking at her were hard, disbelieving. The head of HR opened her mouth to speak. Then, the conference room door opened again. Mr. Alistair Harrington walked in. Everyone sat up straighter. The air in the room changed. He did not look at anyone else. He walked to the head of the table and placed his briefcase down. His eyes went to Chloe. They were intense, searching. Mr. Harrington, thank you for joining us, the HR woman began. We were just... He held up a hand, quieting her. He kept his eyes on Chloe. Chloe, he said. His voice was the same low, calm voice from the coffee shop. Look at me and tell me the truth. Did you take that money? A single tear broke free and rolled down Chloe's cheek. She wiped it away quickly. She met his gaze. No, sir, I did not. I promise you, with all my heart, I did not. Mr. Harrington stared at her for a long moment. Then he gave a single, slow nod. I believe you. A wave of whispers went around the table. Liam's confident expression flickered. Sir, with all due respect, Liam started, the evidence is not what you think it is, Mr. Harrington finished. He turned his gaze to Liam. It was no longer calm. It was like ice. You see, Liam, I have learned a hard lesson in my life. Sometimes the person you trust the least is the most honest, and the person you trust the most is hiding the worst sin. He opened his briefcase. He took out a small, old photograph in a silver frame. He placed it on the table so everyone could see the picture of the smiling young woman. This is my wife, Eleanor. She died 30 years ago. His voice softened just for a second when he said her name. He looked at Chloe. She was the kind of person who would give her last $15 to a stranger on a bench. Just like you did, Chloe. When I saw you do that, it was like seeing her spirit again. I gave you a chance not because I felt sorry for you. I gave you a chance because I felt sorry for a world that had lost people like her, and like you. Chloe's breath caught. She understood now. The photo, the kindness, it was all connected. Mr. Harrington's face turned hard again as he looked at Liam. I did not trust your recent behavior, Liam. Your jealousy was obvious. So, 2 weeks ago, I had a silent security camera installed in the community fund office. A camera no one knew about. Liam's face went white. Mr. Harrington took a small tablet computer from his briefcase. He tapped the screen and turned it to face the room. He pressed play. The video was clear. It showed the community fund office. The timestamp read Monday, 8:27 p.m. The door opened. Liam walked in. He went straight to the locked donation box. He used a key. He took out a thick stack of cash. He put it in his jacket pocket and left. The room was utterly silent. Liam stared at the tablet, his mouth open. No words came out. Mr. Harrington looked at the head of security. Please escort Mr. Liam from the building. He is fired. Call the police. Give them the video. 2 security guards stepped into the room. They took Liam by the arms. He didn't fight. He just kept staring at the table, his whole world collapsing as they led him away. Mr. Harrington then looked at Elise, whose face was pale with shock. You allowed your bias to cloud your judgment. You will be reprimanded. He then looked at everyone else. Chloe Davis is innocent. This meeting is over. People began to gather their things quietly, quickly. Chloe couldn't move. She sat in her chair, the relief so powerful it made her feel weak. Mr. Harrington walked over to her. He picked up the photo of Eleanor and looked at it, then at Chloe. Thank you, he said quietly, for telling the truth. Thank you, Chloe whispered back, for believing me. The conference room emptied until only Chloe and Mr. Harrington remained. The silence felt huge. Chloe's hands were still trembling, but the tight knot in her stomach was gone. Mr. Harrington placed the photograph of Eleanor back into his briefcase with great care. He closed the latch, then he turned to Chloe. Are you all right? He asked. Chloe nodded, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. Yes, thank you. I don't know what would have happened if you didn't have that camera. I do know, he said quietly. It would have been a great injustice, one I could not allow. He paused. You handled yourself well in there. You told the truth simply, even when you were afraid. I was very afraid, she admitted. That makes your honesty more valuable, not less. He gestured toward the door. Walk with me. They left the conference room and walked down the hall toward his office. People at their desks tried not to stare, but Chloe could feel their eyes. What you said about your wife, Chloe began, her voice soft. I'm so sorry for your loss. Thank you, he said. They stopped outside his office doors. I saw her in you that day. Not your face, but your action. It was a pure thing. The world takes that out of people. It tried to take it out of you today with lies and fear, but you held on to it. He opened the door to his office. The morning light streamed through the huge window. The photograph of Eleanor was back in its place on the desk. Sit down, please, he said. Chloe sat in one of the leather chairs. He sat behind the desk. The community fund needs new management, Mr. Harrington said. Liam is gone. The person who runs it must have integrity. They must understand that the money is not a number in an account. It is food and beds and safety for people. Chloe listened, her heart starting to beat faster again. I am offering you the position of Community Projects Coordinator. It is a real job with a real salary. You would be in charge of choosing which charities we support. You would visit them. You would make sure our money is used well. You would report directly to me. Chloe's mouth fell open. She could not form words. You want me to do that? She finally managed. I do. You have shown you care about people you do not know. You have shown you are honest under pressure. There is no better training for this job. But I don't have a college degree. I don't know how to run projects. You know how to work hard. You know how to be careful. You know what need looks like, he said. The rest, Susan will help you learn. Ben in IT can set up your systems. Do you want to try? Chloe thought of the children's shelter that had almost lost its money. She thought of Arthur on the bench. She thought of her mother's tired face after a double shift. This was more than a better apartment. This was a chance to do something that mattered. "Yes," she said, her voice firm and clear. "I want to try. I want to do a good job." A genuine smile, small but warm, touched Mr. Harrington's lips. "Good. Your new salary starts today. Speak with Susan about the paperwork. Your first task is to personally deliver the $3,000 to the children's shelter this afternoon." He stood up, signaling the meeting was over. Chloe stood too. She felt taller. "Thank you, Mr. Harrington, for everything, for believing in me." He looked at the photo of Eleanor, then back at Chloe. "Thank you, Chloe, for reminding an old man what to believe in." Chloe walked out of the office. The hallway did not feel intimidating anymore. It felt like a path. Ben was waiting a little way down the hall, his face full of concern. "Hey, what happened? Are you okay?" Everyone's saying Liam was let out by security. Chloe took a deep breath. "I'm okay. Better than okay." A smile broke across her face. "I have a new job. I'm going to be running the charity projects." Ben's eyes went wide, then he grinned. "No way. That's amazing. I knew you were too smart for that filing room. This calls for a celebration. The good coffee, my treat." For the first time since entering the building months ago, Chloe felt like she truly belonged. She had not just kept her job, she had found her place. The director of the Hope's Harbor Children's Shelter shook Chloe's hand with both of his. His eyes were wet. "You have no idea what this means," he said. "We were about to turn 3 families away next week. This is their beds, their warm meals." Chloe felt a deep, sure feeling as she handed him the envelope. This was not just giving away her own $15. This was connecting help to need on purpose. She promised to come back next month to see the new beds. Later that week, she took the bus to a different part of the city. She carried a small paper bag. She found the address, a neat brick building with a clean front door. She pressed the buzzer for apartment number 4. The door opened. Arthur stood there. He was wearing a clean flannel shirt. He was not shivering. "Chloe," he said, his face breaking into a wide smile. Come in. Mind the boxes. Still settling." His apartment was small, just one room with a kitchenette, but it was warm and bright. A folded blanket sat on a chair. A hot plate was on the counter. It was a home. "I brought you some cookies," Chloe said, handing him the bag. "How are you? How is the job?" Arthur took the bag gratefully. "The job is good. It's just part-time, cleaning the lobby of an office building at night. But it's honest work. It's my own key, my own door." He looked around the room, still amazed. "All because of you. And that Mr. Harrington." "It was because of you, Arthur," Chloe said softly. "You were just sitting on that bench trying to get through the day." They talked for 20 minutes. Arthur made her a cup of tea with his new kettle. He told her about the other people at his new building. He showed her a plant someone had given him. When Chloe left, she felt lighter than she had in years. On Saturday, she unpacked the last box in her new apartment. It was not huge, but it had 2 windows that looked out at a park. The locks were strong. The heat worked quietly. She put her savings notebook in a drawer. She did not need to count every dollar anymore. Her phone rang. It was her mother. "Send me another picture. I want to see the kitchen again." Chloe laughed and sent a photo. "It's perfect, Mom, and I have an extra bedroom for when you want to visit and not sleep on my couch." "Oh, honey, I'm so proud of you." Her mother's voice was thick with emotion. "You built this." On Monday, Chloe was at her new desk. It was not in the clerical pool. It was a real office with her name on the door. Ben stopped by, holding 2 mugs of coffee. "For the community projects coordinator," he said, handing her one. "Got any big plans?" "Yes," Chloe said, opening a file. "I'm looking at a program that helps single moms train for office jobs. It gives them childcare while they learn. I think Mr. Harrington will approve the funding." "He will if you recommend it," Ben said. "He trusts your judgment." Mr. Harrington did approve it that afternoon. He called Chloe into his office to sign the papers. As she turned to leave, he spoke. "How is Arthur?" Chloe smiled. "He's good. He has a plant. He's proud of it." Mr. Harrington nodded, a look of quiet satisfaction on his face. "Good." That evening, Chloe walked past the brew bean. She did not go in. She kept walking, her hands in the pockets of a good, warm coat. She thought about the chain of events. One act of kindness on a cold day. It had warmed Arthur. It had reminded Mr. Harrington of love. It had given her a chance. That chance had led her here, to a job where she could help many people. She did not have to count steps anymore. She walked smoothly, looking at the lights of the city, thinking about tomorrow's work. The chain was not finished. It was just beginning, and she was now a part of its links, ready to pass the kindness forward.